It's a Valentine's tradition, dinner and a movie. Well, what better way to spend 2 hours together than to watch two people find love, happiness, and multiple new uses for everything at the hardware store, especially the mop, for afterwards. Strap in as we strap on another dose of hanky spanky as we try to prove to you that 50 Shades Darker is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades and B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Madison, Wisconsin, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? All right, so last year, we decided to get a little weird with our Valentine's Day. We actually watched the very first 50 Shades movie last year for our Valentine's Day episode, 50 Shades of Grey. And we didn't learn our lesson the first time. So here we are this year for our Valentine's Week special with 50 Shades Darker. And here to join me, making sure all the hardware is locked away in the cupboard, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm good.
So let me ask you, Carrie, before we get into this, when you actually said I do, did you ever in the history of ever think that at some point we would be spending our Valentine's days watching basically softcore porn?
Yeah, no, that wasn't on my bingo card. No,
No,
nor was the, I hope that we're not going to have to switch from like chocolate and flowers to like a gift card for home hardware.
well, every rose has its thorn, I guess. So basically we're here for another round of the 50 Shades trilogy. And spoiler alert, tune in next year. We'll wrap up the trilogy. But hey, at least we didn't pull a 365 days and get all our spanky in one go. But last year, you said, hey, I'm kind of interested to watch the other films. Here we are. Are you still excited?
I am. I mean, it's been a long year, so I found myself having to think back to the first episode. I don't know. Do we really have to wait a whole year until we watch the third installment of this fine franchise?
Hey, what do we do next year then if we just go ahead and watch the next one? Do we just like switch to porn and say, hey, we're going to try and make this porn actually sound good? Splat
All
Man.
right.
We'll watch Splat Man. All right. So 50 Shades Darker. Here we go. Round 2. And it is time to take this quote unquote erotic film and trailerize it.
Just when you thought you were safe from the reddest of all red flags, Christian Grey is back to make you question what women see in men in the first place. Anastasia Steele has found freedom by working for a boss who's even douchier than her ex. But when fate brings her and her former lover together again, and by fate I mean Christian's stalker-like obsession, she looks to give love on the wild side a second chance. But let's be honest, if she didn't, it'd be a real short sequel. But also entering the picture is Elena, the woman who Christian says made him the way he is. I mean, sure, blame everyone but yourself, rich boy. Will Anastasia break through and find the heart in the barrier of stone? I'd say read the book instead, but even that's a form of punishment. If the slow jams are rockin', don't come a knockin'. It's 50 Shades Darker, rated R for Randy Little Horn Dogs.
I thought you were going to say rated R for like the radio. Cue the music. We're heading into a sex scene. Cue the music.
I mean, here's the thing, and I'll give credit where credit is due. 50 Shades Darker does actually come with a decent number of big name artists on the soundtrack. And the soundtrack did get some decent accolades, but let's be honest. Here's a little secret, dear listeners. No one goes to Hooters for the wings. No one watches a 50 Shades movie for the music. They don't. But at least it's better than your average porno with a bounce. But let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars Dakota Johnson, Jamie Dornan, Eric Johnson, Eloise Mumford, Bella Heathcote, Rita Ora, Max Martini, Kim Basinger, and Marcia Gay Harden. It was directed by James Foley, which is different from the last one, because Sam Taylor Johnson refused to return to direct the sequel. Of course, it is based on the book series by E.L. James. It had a budget of $55 million. Domestically, it made $114 million, and worldwide, $381 million from spank aficionados around the world. When it was released on the February 10th, 2017 weekend, they released this ish on Valentine's Day weekend. Can you imagine? I mean, I know we're here talking about this on our Valentine's Day episode of the podcast, but can you imagine someone saying, "Hey, honey, want to come to the movies with me?" Cool, great. What movie do you want to see? I'd rather not say. Just, it'll be a surprise. It'll be like if I took you to the theaters to see this film. Would you check to see how drunk I was?
I think I'd be the one buying beer.
We're here to see the Spanky movie. Spanky?
That boggles my mind. This doesn't seem to be a theater going, pack up the family. Let's go to the movies.
If you're bringing the family to this, it's...
No.
That is a really screwed up Pornhub category right there. All right. But when it was released on the February 10th, 2017 weekend, it debuted at number 2 with $46.6 million.
People love their softcore porn.
But think about the 3 movies releasing in wide release that weekend, okay? At number 3 was John Wick Chapter 2. And at number 1 was the Lego Batman movie. So how is it that 50 Shades Darker is the most romantic film debuting on the Valentine's Day weekend?
And my question is, was there a baby boom somewhere around November of that year?
Well, maybe because of the soundtrack, because there were some accolades for this film, good and bad. At the Satellite Awards, I Don't Want to Live Forever by Zayn and Taylor Swift was nominated for Best Original Song from a Film, but lost to Stand Up for Something by Andra and Common from the movie Marshall. At the International Online Cinema Awards, that same song was nominated for Best Original Song, but lost to Who's the Batman from the Lego Batman movie. And at the 2018 Grammys, that song was nominated for Best Song Written for Visual Media, but lost to How Far I'll Go from Moana. And I'm sorry, but if you release a song for a movie in the same year as a big Disney film, you're not winning Song of the Year. I'm sorry, them's the rules. But then we get to the other side of this. At the 2018 Alliance of Women Film Journalists Awards, Dakota Johnson was nominated for Actress Most in Need of a New Agent, lost to Kate Winslet for Wonder Wheel and The Mountain Between Us. At the 2017 Golden Schmoes Awards, it was nominated for Worst Movie of the Year, but lost to The Emoji Movie. That's right. The Emoji Movie came out this year, saving 50 Shades Darker from winning really many awards.
Well, it was pretty bad.
Well, the Emoji Movie is actually on Wikipedia's list of films considered to be the worst.
Yeah, notice we haven't defended that one yet.
Yeah, no, I'm staying about 5 smiley faces away from that movie as much as I can. And at the 2018 Razzies, it was nominated for Worst Picture, lost to The Emoji Movie. Jamie Dornan was nominated for Worst Actor, but lost to Tom Cruise for The Mummy. Dakota Johnson was nominated Worst Actress, but lost to Tyler Perry for Boo 2: A Medea Halloween. Yeah, Tyler Perry won Worst Actress. Kim Basinger won for Worst Supporting Actress, and the movie won for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel. James Foley was nominated for Worst Director, but lost to Tony Leondis for The Emoji Movie. It was also nominated for Worst Combo for, and I quote, any combination of two characters, two sex toys, or two sexual positions, but lost to The Emoji Movie for any two obnoxious emojis. And it was nominated for Worst Screenplay, lost to The Emoji Movie. And it was nominated for, and I love the idea of this award, and I hope the Razzies someday bring this back, the So Rotten You Love It Award, but lost to Baywatch. But the reason why we are here, and not just because we get a little randy around February, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a tomatometer of 11% and a popcorn meter of 48%. At Metacritic, it has a Metascore of 33. At IMDb, 4.6 stars out of 10 for a 46% score. Letterboxd, 2.0 stars out of 5 for a 40% score. And at the randiest of movie aggregate sites, the Movie Database has this at a 65%, giving this film the aggravated aggregate of 40.5%. So we've got a range, Carrie, from 11 to 65%. Is this film in that range, and where is it closer to?
I put it kind of right in the middle. I would say, you know what? I enjoyed the sequel better than the first one. So we're getting better.
Are we?
Yeah. There was at least a storyline. Not a good one.
Was there?
But
did we watch the same movie?
It had scenes.
Yes, it did.
We're just in
yes,
the red room. No, they actually tried. They tried to put forth a story.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
All right, well, let's get to the breakdown of this film. We start with Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele. Your thoughts on Dakota Johnson in this one?
I'm not sure if it was written to be so wishy-washy, but, in one beat, she's saying, no, I'm done with you. I've moved on. We've broken up, leave it alone. And then she's jumping him. Sorry to spoilers. It had that element of cat and mouse. And it was kind of like, you know what, girl, stand on your own 2 feet, stand up for yourself. But I think that there is true, genuine love there. And I mean, clearly, right?
Is there really true, genuine love there?
I think there actually is.
I think it's a different 4-letter word that starts with L that you're thinking of.
No, I think
it's not love.
This movie solidified that there is a relationship outside of the red room.
I mean, that I'll give you. Now, I may say something a little controversial here. Okay, so bear with me here, because I have mentioned on this podcast before in talking about other movies that happen to star Dakota Johnson that, you know what, I'm waiting to find the good Dakota Johnson role. I liked her in this. And I think I liked her more at the beginning of this, though. I will explain. At the beginning of this film, she has found herself, right? She's got a job. Yeah, the boss sucks. He's a douche, but whatever. She's got a job. She's on her own, right? And she's, doing her best to put the past behind her. But the one thing I liked about this film more than I liked about the first one is that in pretty much every single instance of love making and passion and everything, it's all her choice. She chose to get back together with him. She chose to set her own boundaries for where things were. She chose to push things where I found Anastasia Steele a bit more of a mature character here. And I found this film I think was way more about consent than the first film was.
I agree with that. Again, I found that she was very quick to fall back in love with him.
Okay,
like,
well, we're on a clock here, right?
And I guess that kind of solidified that, you know what, there was genuine feeling there. And as much as she tried to distance herself and she tried to reestablish her new life in a new city, right? She moved away. What was the timeline on this? This was like a year later?
It feels like a year. It feels like the kind of thing where they're, trying to at least put some distance between the last movie and this one. I mean, she's got her own job now, her own career. Kate seems to have been like moved out kind of thing because she's spending all her time with Christian's brother. I think a year feels, maybe not a year, maybe more like a half a year. Because otherwise, why would, because when they get together with the family, with Christian's adoptive family, it feels like it hasn't been that long. There's another thing I want to point out. The thing I like more about Anastasia in this film. Remember how in the last one I said that I really liked the scenes with her and Kate, her roommate, and how it kind of humanized Anastasia a bit. I really liked the scenes with Anastasia and Mia, Christian's sister. I think Rita Ora was actually able to bring a lot out of Dakota Johnson in those scenes they were together. I like how Anastasia Steele was in the Grey adoptive family.
Okay, but let's not forget that it had to be long enough, or where did the woman scorned come from?
I think she was before Anastasia, though.
Well, I don't know, because she even said, one of her lines is that what did she have that Anastasia didn't? Why wasn't she good enough?
Well, I think that's because, I guess in that dynamic, and of course, we are talking in this case about Bella Heathcote playing Leela Williams. So this is, let me try to explain this for those who have not sat and watched this film yet. So throughout the film, there's this girl that pops up, and she's looking a little worse for wear kind of thing, but she keeps on showing up where Anastasia is. Like even in the opening montage of Anastasia going to work, right? You can see Layla in the background, like at the bus and whatnot. So clearly she's stalking Anastasia out, but there's this scene where she like breaks into Anastasia's apartment, clearly waiting for her, pulls a gun on her, and Anastasia says, well, what do you, something about Christian, right? And Layla's like, you were allowed to use his name. So it really kind of sets up Christian to be, like this is one of his total sub kind of past relationships. If she wasn't allowed, if she was only allowed to say Mr. Gray and not Christian, that's got to be like a breaking point, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But it was just very confusing. It was kind of like, I thought it played into the timeline. I'm like, how long were they on a break? And was this side piece in that time frame or not?
See, I don't think this happened during the quote unquote break, because that would negate the idea that Christian only wants to be with Anastasia. This had to have been a pre-Anastasia relationship, but I don't think it was long before Anastasia. It's just one of those things where, and this is where this movie kind of falters, right? There are like 3 different points of tension in this film for Christian and Anastasia. Leela is one of them. But the thing is, after that scene where she pulls the gun and then all of a sudden Christian like reasserts his dominance against her, like, which also doesn't make Christian look like a good guy at all. It's done. We don't see this girl anymore. It's like, oh, she's off to the hospital to seek mental health. Bye storyline. Movie. If you're going to build someone up to be a problem, don't make it anticlimactic and like just shoo them away for the rest of the film. Like, make the movie about something.
Yeah, but Mr. Gray's got 99 more problems.
Oh, there's a few of them. But let's talk about Jamie Dornan as Christian Grey in this. I still don't understand. I don't get it. So, Carrie, I need to throw this over to you. And I know I asked you this last year with 50 Shades of Grey, but what the hell is supposed to be sexy about this guy? And I'm not talking about Jamie Dornan as a person. I'm talking about the character of Christian Grey.
Money and power.
Money and power, I get.
And authority, I guess. You know what? And this is where I liked the second movie. So let me spill this.
All right, take it away.
So in the first movie, he was that all about the business contract and, you know, using his money and his prestige to his advantage. In this movie, it's almost kind of, he almost wants to take care of Anastasia. Like it's a very much, you know, he's wiring money into her bank account. He's buying the company that she works for in his mind to, again, have that power position, but also, I guess, to have job security for her.
I don't think it's job security. Okay, let me diatribe here for a second here, because I'm feeling like it's almost like you're trying to paint this in a okay, I can see what people would see about it, but I mean, here's the thing, right? If this domineering personality who you know is keeping track of you and you know is, you know, basically stalking you the entire time, right? You know, and he's got his chauffeur / manservant, like, you know, constantly, you know, bringing you things and taking you places and whatnot. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know, she's adamant. She's like, no, I have this job. I like to work and all that kind of stuff. And then he goes and buys the company. Screw you, dude. Get out of my private life here. And this whole like, here, let me draw a circle on me in lipstick and don't touch me here. Really? Because no. But then I really don't like this character. I really freaking don't.
I'm getting that. I'm kind of getting that vibe from you. Yeah.
But it's not even like he's trying. If the whole thing about Anastasia is that there's something different about her, then he should be trying to be different. And yes, I get he's trying to open up, but then we discover, spoilers like a mofo, that he punishes these women in his way because they all look like his mother, who OD'd when he was a little kid. So it's like he's taking out his, you know, childhood trauma anger on these women. I'm sorry, that's not that doesn't excuse it. That doesn't make him deep and complicated. No, he's not an onion. He's a straight ogre, and I cannot see anyone in reality going, well, it's okay. He's just complex. No.
Yet Anastasia did fall for him, and she does love him to the core. I mean,
why?
Think of the scene where she thought she lost him, right? I even found it a tiny bit dusty in, you know, you're watching the news and it's like, okay, Christian Grey has gone missing. Okay, he's been found. And then magically shows up.
That was freaking real quick.
But you do see that there is genuine love there for whatever reason. I mean, I don't get it. Personally, I think you're right. He is a bit of a a sleaze bag, and worse, he's clearly he needs some help. Because he does have that childhood trauma that he's carrying, whether he's processing it in a very unhealthy manner,
very, very unhealthy manner.
Clearly. But again, that falls into way too much money and
not enough therapy.
The
apparently.
Power that comes along with having way too much money.
You think with that much money he could afford good therapy?
You would think.
Yeah, but no.
Might be worthwhile.
But then, of course, you have Christian's adoptive mother, Grace, as played by Marcia Gay Harden. Your thoughts on her?
I liked her.
I really like her in this.
I like her so much. I love the scene, and I know we're going to get to the adversary, right?
The quote unquote Mrs. Robinson, yes.
Right. But when she's like, stay away from my children, and she's protecting both Anastasia and Christian. And I love that.
I didn't love that scene.
No?
And I say it because it's so, don't get me wrong. Okay. You have two fantastic actors in Marcia Gay Harden and Kim Basinger. And I love what Marcia Gay Harden brings to this character. Grace is a fascinating character because it's so it defines Christian even more. You take a look at Mia, you take a look at Grace, you take a look at the brother, and it's like, this is a happy, tight family. And I feel it almost isolates Christian even more, even though I know it's clear that he's thankful for everything that they've done for him. But it's one of those things where, as nice as Grace is and as good as Grace, especially to Anastasia, right? It's almost like Grace sees in Anastasia a salvation for Christian. And that's fantastic. But that scene where Grace tells Elena to leave her children alone, it's so soap opera. And not even good soap opera.
Okay, but it's so necessary because at the beginning she was so, welcoming of Kim Basinger's character.
What that scene needed was emotion. Grace is a happy, caring, loving mother. And had Grace brought the angry, think about it. Imagine you're a kid and your parents are calm and even keel and everything's nice, and then you screw up. And for the first time you hear your parents raise their voice at you. It makes you poop a little, doesn't it?
I think it's almost more frightening when they get quiet.
Well, that's because we messed up a lot when we were kids. So, yeah. But that's the thing. To take someone who is a quiet, even keel, happy-go-lucky character, not really happy-go-lucky, but definitely pleasant character, very maternal character, and to see them lose their ish. But it was so, the same thing that the Leela resolution was very anticlimactic. This was way more anticlimactic because they were building it up to such a big thing and then they didn't. And I think the biggest problem with this film is that when 50 Shades of Grey made a ton of money, and they're like, okay, we're gonna finish the trilogy. So they filmed these two films, this one and 50 Shades Freed, back to back, because they knew they had the green light. Here's money, go make these two films. So this film feels like a bridge film. Like the entire raison d'etre of this film is to set up a way more interesting story in the third movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am. Because again, it's adding that story. It's not just all about the sex.
No. That's where I found, like, going back to that 365 Days trilogy, I loved the third movie in comparison to the other two because it was less about sex and more about the characters and the relationship dynamic.
Well, the second movie could have just been...
The second movie was basically a porno.
Yeah, it could have been omitted.
Yeah. Like, turn 3 movies into 2 in 365 days is not the worst duology, but here, this film literally felt like a prequel for a movie that needed to be done sooner. You could have set a lot of this up into probably the third film. I haven't even seen the third film. We will next year, but I don't know. It just feels like too much preamble for a movie to come that you have to wait for like a year later. But since we started talking about her earlier, Kim Basinger as Elena, your thoughts on her?
The part I don't quite follow is why in hell Christian brought Anastasia to her hair salon. Like what? Like was he trying to get caught or flaunt his?
See, that's what I don't get. Right. So this is supposed to be the woman that when Christian was younger, basically introduced him to the BDSM lifestyle, right? Introduced him into becoming a sadist by being her sub. And why? And maybe it's because that he was her sub. Like this was the one time that the one relationship in which he was the submissive. And it helps too, the Kim Basinger does not look like the picture of his mother at all. So it's not like this falls into the pattern of he's punishing women who look like his mother. And again, this is not helping Christian's character at all. But I don't like to speak ill of an actor's performance.
But you're going to anyway.
I'm going to in this case.
Aren't we supposed to say nice things?
Oh, I have nice things. Did I not say nice things about Dakota Johnson in this? Did I not say wonderful things about Marcia Gay Harden in this?
Fair.
Kim Basinger. Girl, you can do so much better.
You know, I liked her though. I liked the scene where she went head to head with Anastasia in the bathroom. And I loved how Dakota Johnson stood her ground and she fought back and she was like, stay the hell away from me.
See,
like, whew.
See,
good on her.
Maybe I expect more from Kim Basinger. I mean, her very presence in this movie, in the movie of this kind of nature, makes sense because, of course, Kim Basinger starred in 9.5 Weeks many, many moons ago and introduced many boys to puberty around that time. But here, it's just like, it's so passive and neutral. I mean, maybe I expected a bit more, not necessarily sultry, but show something in Elena that would make me believe that she was the dominant one in the Christian Elena relationship. Because there's nothing in Kim Basinger's presence that tells me that she is a dom at all. And like that scene that you were talking about with her and Anastasia, yes. From Anastasia's part, Dakota Johnson played that really, really well. But it's almost like Kim Basinger dialed it back so everyone else looks better around her. And I did not like her in this. I expected so much more. Just meh. Then there's Rita Ora, who played Mia. This is Christian's adoptive sister, daughter of Grace. Your thoughts on Mia?
I liked her. I really like how much she accepts Anastasia. And it's like she's brought into the family. Like, obviously, this is a big step for Christian to bring a woman home to meet the family.
And that's like, Mia's the only daughter. So it's almost like she's gaining the sister that she never had. I love the scenes with Rita Ora and Dakota Johnson together in them. I love the energy that Mia brings. And it's almost like Anastasia feeds off that energy. But I also like the underlying tension that it gives Christian. Because think about it, right? Who knows the real Christian, or at least a little bit more of the real Christian, like younger Christian, pre-powerful, rich Christian, it'd be someone like Mia. So the very fact that Mia and Anastasia get along really, really well has got to be nerve-wracking for someone as secretive and closed off as Christian is. And I love that dynamic about this.
Well, also his brother.
But the brother's so occupied with Kate. And, in the first movie, Kate felt much like a bigger part of the film. Kate feels almost sidelined in this by Mia. It's almost like Mia became the central point of the Anastasia connection to the Grey family, aside from Christian. But if you're looking for someone to further the point of the Grey adoptive family being good and maybe the opposite of Christian, Mia is a good way to go. One more person to talk about in this film, Eric Johnson, who played Jack High. This is Anna's boss before he gets real creepy. Your thoughts on him?
Oh, he was creepy from day one. And I'm not sure if it wasn't day one of her work,
no,
obviously, but the way he looked at her, and even I would dare say the receptionist knew.
Yeah. The receptionist knew, like the HR rep knew, like everyone, clearly this is not a good workplace, toxic work environment, very, trigger warning to anyone who has been basically accosted or abused by their boss. But this is not a good place to be. The fact that you learn that, he went through so many assistants in a short amount of time, and we know why. And the turn is so quick too, right? Like, he meets her for coffee kind of thing to talk about this upcoming trip to New York, and then Christian shows up, and he kind of does the whole alpha male, like, I'm the boyfriend kind of thing, and you could see the personality turn. Obviously, they're setting up Jack to be a bigger problem in the next movie, much like everyone seems to be a bigger problem set up for the next movie. But that scene where Jack kind of corners Anastasia and tries to mac all over her, like that's going to be a harsh scene for those who may have maybe gone through that as well.
Yeah, well, it was also a bold and stupid move on behalf, because at that point Christian Grey owned the company.
Yep.
So you are now assaulting his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like, what did you expect, homie? Of course you're going to wind up unemployed. And of course it opened up, his motive to, obviously bad things are going to happen in the third movie.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. We're ready for the ish to hit the fan. But the thing is, I see that, Jack being a total and utter douche to Anna, is supposed to give Christian the opening to be the savior, the white knight kind of thing. But if you have to create a really horrible person in order to justify a slightly less horrible person, that's not good for the main character that you're trying to make look better.
Well, they also had, a good person, clearly the young girl who was previous to Anastasia,
yeah.
like to make almost Anastasia look bad in a way. It was almost kind of like, what did I have that you didn't? Or, there was that angle of jealousy. But I don't know if that was necessary.
I don't think it's jealousy. I think the thing with Layla is that it paints the sub in a way that is so not self-detrimental, but self-critical, right? It's almost like you've painted Layla as a character that has no self-esteem, no self-worth, and is only good enough to succumb to the wishes and demands and commands of Christian. So it's almost at that point like Layla's looking at Anastasia and just sees something better than her And I feel bad for Layla for that because, it's no one should ever feel that low. I don't think you've done anything to boost Anastasia's character. I think all you've done is you've diminished Layla's character even more from a self-worth point of view, even though you have to think that, this story will continue in the third film. But I think that's what really threw me off. It's the only thing that's really thrown me off so much about this, aside from like every dude being just a total a-hole in this film, is that it really felt like the only reason for this film to exist was to justify the next film. Now, I haven't read the books. I don't ever plan on reading the books. And I know there's that comedy sketch of, the 50 Shades series as read by Gilbert Gottfried, and I wish that actually existed. But I think the biggest problem for this film is that, and again, it centers more around Elena, around Kim Basinger's character, is that the introduction of her is supposed to be this big moment. Think about watching a movie after reading a book series, after loving the book series, right? And then a new character is introduced in the film and you're supposed to go like, oh, it's them. It's awesome. Well, that's great if you've read the book. But for the uninitiated, you're like, oh, who the hell is this? And it's only when they actually start to explain things, you're like, oh, but it felt like what was supposed to be a big character reveal felt so lackluster and so meh.
It did. It just felt awkward. It was like, well, why are we introducing her now?
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's Kim Basinger. That's great.
But if you want Anastasia to be with you and, in your life, you might not want to introduce these two women. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe more of it's going to be explained in the third film. I guess we'll find out in a year's time, but it feels like key moments, the moments that are supposed to be key, pivotal franchise moments are just not. They're blasé. And it's like they put all the effort into making the sex and love scenes good. And you forgot that these people or these characters are supposed to have personalities.
Can we talk about his bodyguard for a moment?
Oh, Max Martini. Yes.
I really loved the scene where Anastasia's like running away from the car and he just didn't know what to do because he's like, I can't, put my hands on her because Christian Grey would be pretty pissed.
Yeah.
But he's like, please get back in the car. Like he's almost begging for his job and possibly his life at that moment.
I remember mentioning this last year. I'm like, I really like Max Martini in this. I really think there's something about him because again, he's like the one humanizing male in this, right? Like Jack's meh. Okay, the brother's okay, right? Christian is Christian. Max Martini's character I really like him. I wish they had spent more time with him. I wish there was more, because the moments that he was with Anastasia in the first film, I really liked that connection because it showed Anastasia's just niceness and how she treated this guy like just a regular guy and not like a servant, not like someone who's waiting on Christian Grey hand and foot like everyone else seems to do. So yeah, Max Martini, I wish there was more of you in this film because, dude, you're good.
But who messed up her car then? Was it the boss or was it?
No, I think it was, I don't know if that's the thing. They never really said whether it's Layla or whether it's Jack or if it's Elena.
Yeah, well, I would think it would be Elena, but why would her boss mess up her car if he wants her to get to work the next day?
No, but wasn't this after he made the move on her and got fired by Christian? Like there's that's the thing. There's way too much adversarial buildup over three different characters that are all kind of there and then they're not. And then we get this little mini montage at the end of the film of all these characters that are clearly going to be problems to deal with in the next film. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the next film only because I want to see where they go with this. Like, you know, if you watch this film and you didn't like it and you bail out, and then you have this lingering, it's like a TV series ending on a cliffhanger and then they get canceled. And you're like, I wish I would need to find out. I can't leave this series without getting to the end of the resolution of it. We're 2 films in. We're invested now.
I agree. I need closure on this.
All right. Well, we will revisit this world next year. But before we leave you guys, it's time. So, Carrie, who is your MVP of 50 Shades Darker?
You know what? I know this is going to be controversial, and I know that you're not going to agree with me, but I am actually giving respect to Christian Grey in this movie. I am, because as much as he's, has stalker tendencies and he's still trying to have the upper hand in the relationship, there's also the element that he's becoming more human. He has wiped away his red lipstick outline of his boundaries, and he's letting Anastasia in. And I think he's really ready to turn his life around, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
See, I can't pick Jamie Dornan as my MVP. And I realize the dichotomy here, right? Because we've talked about this before. It takes a really good actor to make a character you really absolutely despise, right? It's like wrestling, right? The best heels get the biggest heel pops, right? The problem is, though, this film is supposed to be painting Christian Grey as someone who you could reasonably understand why a woman like Anastasia Steele would go for him. And I just don't think this script does this. I specified the script, right? Jamie Dornan does everything he can with what he's given, but he's not my MVP. And I stand here, world, before you, shocked. Shocked, I say. Because maybe for the first time ever, and maybe for the last time, who knows, Dakota Johnson is my MVP.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Don't get me wrong. Rita Ora was really shining in this, but she's just not ended enough to take the MVP. I like the fact that Dakota Johnson was able to help us see the growth of Anastasia. And there are moments in this movie where she is owning this character. And I do like the fact that the film feels more about Anastasia's consent than it feels more about glorifying the BDSM lifestyle. So yeah, Dakota Johnson is my MVP.
I also liked her in Madam Web, so here we are.
Yeah, but you know what? I know we talked about Madam Web and a grading on a curve, so we didn't really have an MVP for that film. But my MVP for Madam Web would not be Dakota Johnson. I'm sorry, it's not.
Here's the thing, though. She's not a bad actress, even as much as I poo-poo on The Materialist.
Mm-hmm.
I really like her. I think as a person and as an actress, she has that ability. She's so likable.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what role she's playing, she is likable. And, it doesn't matter the role. You warm up to her.
Yeah.
Whether you start liking her or not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're talking about a film here that has an 11% tomatometer, is in a much maligned franchise. And really, there's not much else going for this film except for, what people would normally go to Hooters for. But Dakota Johnson actually shines in this film. And I think, the time spent in the character allows her to be able to develop the character. That's the other thing too, right? We're never getting Madam Web ever again. We're not. It's not happening. I'm sorry, there's no Materialist 2. Just not going to happen. She gets to develop Anastasia Steele. Even though it's based on a character from a book, she gets to grow into that character. And I think that time in that role and in that mind has allowed her to make Anastasia even more nice, because Anastasia Steele is supposed to be the nice girl in the story. So I think if you have a person who does come across genuinely as a pleasant person who you'd love to kind of hang out and have a coffee with, that's a good thing. And it shines in this. Carrie, thank you so much. And to you, our dear listeners, remember, next year, Valentine's Day weekend, we are going to finish this trilogy. And in a short amount of time, the Razzies will return. And we'll be here with Grading on a Curve. But until next time, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there is no way in a red room that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast, or go to our website at NotThatBadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the page, because guess what, folks? There Can Only Be One is coming back soon. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.